Hey everybody, welcome to another Nielsen networking video. In this video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite Linux command line tools. And in case the title didn't give it away, the name of that tool is rsync. And rsync is freaking amazing and you will love it. I promise it will change your life. Now, how is it going to do that? rsync can be used to efficiently transfer and synchronize files between, let's say, the local just directories. You have a machine, you want to synchronize some directories. Or let's say you have a remote server. Let's say you have a Windows server that you need to back up to a Linux server. No problem, rsync got you covered. You need to back up, to 3 different servers, 3 different directories on 3 different servers. rsync has you covered. It doesn't care if it's local file system, remote file system, etc., etc. There is some configuration. I won't lie to you and say you just push a button to make this work, but I'm going to show you that in this video, how you can utilize rsync for those things. And I hope to help you unlock the full potential of rsync. And that's kind of the point of this video, to show you the most, I guess you could say, essential ways I believe you can be using rsync. Just to name a few, we're going to talk about how you can synchronize, those remote file shares, whether they're whatever operating system, how to automate the process of synchronizing those, leveraging some scripting and some cron jobs. And much more. I don't want to go all into it on the introduction, but that's where we're going to head. We're going to start with simple, and by the end, we're going to show you the full-blown how to automate it. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, to start, we need to get to the command line. Surprise, surprise. And just to give you a quick lay of the land here, for this video, I will be using 2 machines. I'll be using my Kali Linux machine right here, and I will be using a Windows 7 machine as the remote Windows machine. Again, you don't have to use Kali Linux, you don't have to use Windows 7. You just use anything that supports rsync, and they actually, even believe it or not, they ported it to Windows. So you can use it on anything. It's just it's in its native environment, which is Unix. It works much more efficiently. And that's kind of the whole point. So that said, I have gone ahead and set up a mount point for that Windows machine. It is now mounted here. You can see that by going here and doing an ls. And there you go. There it is. And we can even go a little bit further to see that there is stuff down within those directories, because we will be syncing it. And then for the local backup, we have a directory known as backup. Inside it, I have a Kali local folder, which has nothing in it right now. And I have a Windows folder in it, which has a lot in right now. So let's just get rid of it. And there you go. So both are empty. And that's what we want. Should have done that ahead of the video. But anyways, that's what we wanted. And we're going to start off with a very basic, and we're just going to go rsync. And then what we're going to do is you can do a -AV. And what A stands for in this instance is archive. And then we're going to do V, which is verbose. So that way it will display what's happening to our screen. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then we have to pick the source directory, which I'm going to go ahead and do home. And then I'm going to tell it where I want the destination directory to end up. So I'm going to do backup. And I'm going to do Kali local. So that should take, well, let's just run it, and then I'll show you what it should have done. And the first time you run the sync, remember, it's going to have to copy everything over. So it will take a little while. Now, the second and third and, on and on and on copies will be much quicker, because it's only going to do the delta changes or the incremental changes. So we'll let this thing finish. All right, and it's finished. So let's go ahead and go into it. Take a look. And let's just go in there, and as you can see, everything's in there. We can check the size. So we're showing 1.8 gigs. Let's just go over here to home, and then Kali, and do a DUSH, 1.8 gigs. So as you can see, everything's synchronized. So now what we'll do is, over here in the home directory, why don't we just go ahead and do, let's touch test1, test2, and then we'll go back over here, and you can see it's not in there. There's nothing under touch, and we'll just run that rsync command again real quick, if I can get to it. And let's just run it. And as you can see, it ran. And then if we go back and do a, there they are. So you can see that's how quick it is. All right, so now let's run rsync on the remote Windows server to see how quickly it will synchronize the data over there. So to do that, we're gonna need to, and remember, this works because I have mounted that server under MMT Windows. So in order to make this work on a remote server, you're obviously gonna have to take the step of mounting the other server. Or technically you could go over SSH, but that's a little more advanced. So for this one, we're gonna stick with the mount point. So we would do rsync, and we would go AV, and we would go MMT Windows. So again, this is the source, and this is going to be the destination. So we'll go ahead and run it, and you can see it copied all the files over there. We can verify this by going to Windows and Windows. And the reason I put the double directories here is because I didn't put the trailing slash, which I'll show you in a minute, which actually is a little cleaner because then you don't get the duplicate Windows/Windows directory that you're seeing here. You would just get Windows with the contents inside that you're going to see here. So, all right, so there's the data that was copied over. And so what we can do now, we can go over to our Windows 7 machine, and let's make a new directory. And let's make a text file just for giggles too. And then we'll rerun the sync again. So we have those there. And if I can remember what I'm doing. So then we go back over here and we just run that sync again. And it tells you, the changes it made. And then you go over here and there they are. So as you can see, obviously there's not a lot of sizable data in that Windows volume I'm copying over, but you can see how much it did move over. So we'll actually put some more data there in a minute here just to show you the speed of going across the remote link. So, alrighty, let's try something else. And what I think we'll try is I'll show you the trailing slash so we don't have this directory anymore. So what we'll do is we'll go up and we need to go down one more, and we're gonna get rid of that. So, yeah. All right, so we're clean there. We're gonna go up. And now what we're gonna do is super simple. So you're just gonna go here, and all you need to do is add a trailing slash. Oops, a trailing slash to the source. So it's remember to put that on the source directory if you want it to work. So now we'll go ahead and run it. And if we go back over here, we got our Windows again. So we go into Windows, and you go in here, and look, everything's right in that single Windows directory. And remember, all we did different was add this little slash there. So you go back to the original one, it's not there. And if we run it again, check it out. Now there's another directory within here. So we don't want either of those at this point, but you get the point. Trailing slash, if you want it to be just what's actually in that folder you're syncing, don't put one there if you want it to actually copy the folder and all its contents. So that's kind of the rule of thumb for that. All right, now let's copy something from the Kali Linux box over to the Windows 7 machine. And I'm gonna go ahead and cheat and paste this in here because I'm too lazy to type. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and we're gonna use the same AV archive and verbose, and we're gonna copy from the source, the home user and Kali user. So this is their home directory. And we're gonna copy it to the MMT Windows, which remember is the mount point for the Windows 7 machine. So we're gonna go ahead and run it. All right, and we're finally done. So let's go ahead and check our Windows machine and see what we got. And here you can see, here's our directory, hidden files and everything. So now, let's say, like I said earlier in the video, you only had a backup drive or whatever on the Windows server. Now you've copied over something you wanted from that Linux server, boom, it gets backed up. You're good to go. All right, so let's do something a little bit different here. So let's say now we want to copy, but we don't want to include all these hidden files because these took a long time to copy over because a lot of them have cache in them and I don't really need them, let's say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this and we're going to rerun the scan, or the scan, right? I have nmap on my brain. I'm going to rerun the sync. I love nmap too. That's another awesome tool. What we're going to do is we're actually going to exclude. So So we're going to do exclude, and I'm going to tell it to exclude anything with a dot in front of it. So that way. And then I'm going to rerun it, and we're going to go quick because watch, there's not going to be any need to scan all that cache. Scan and copy, I should say. I'm just going to say scan. You'll know what I mean by the end of the video. So scan means sync in this. So there we go again. It's over here. And there it is with none of the other junk we don't want. So one last thing we'll do here. Delete it again. We'll go back over here and we'll run another sync. See, I said it right. And let's say you wanted to exclude a second. You would then do exclude. And you would then put in, let's just do the archive folder because that's a big one. Put it in there again and run it again. And if we go back over here, we'll see it here. No hidden files and no archive files, or folder, I should say. So that is great. Now, one last thing you can do, you can actually use what's called an exclude list, or an exclude file, I should say. I think is the correct term. So to do that, we're going to do the following. And let me just clean this up real quick, and then we'll do it. So what I'm going to do is I had already created this exclude file, and I decided it made sense to have a rsync folder. So out here, I have this, and we'll just go into it. We'll use nano. And as you can see, I excluded the archive, and I excluded anything that starts with a period, so hidden files. So we can get out of here now. And what we're going to do is we're going to run this command. And instead of saying exclude and then telling it what to exclude, we're going to say exclude from, and then point to the exclude list. So we're going to go ahead and then copy home and then Kelly user to Windows again. And let's see what we get. And as you can see, no hidden files and no archive. But to verify that, we'll go over and take a look here. So as you can see, it's reading that file. Now, just to verify that, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and delete this, and we'll add the desktop to it. So then we can go in here again, and we'll add desktop. And we'll get out of there. We'll run it again. We'll go and look. And no desktop. Pretty cool, huh? And you can actually use this command. Well, actually, let me just clean this up. You can use the exclude from and the exclude in the same command. So you could say exclude from, and then in the next, well, here, let me just show you. Right after it, what you would do is you would do that, and then you would just do exclude and put in what you want. So that's how you would do it. All right, now let's say you don't want something that is in the source, meaning what you're copying, to be in the destination. So you want it when whatever's in that source directory, if something gets deleted from that, you want it to also be deleted from the destination, because by default it won't. You have to tell it to. So first thing we're going to do is we need to run a sync on something. So we're just going to sync up over to our Windows machine again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into, we're going to go in here, and we'll have to get rid of something. So let's just get rid of test1 and test2. Okay, so those are not there. So let's go over here and look on our Windows 7 machine, and you can clearly see test1 and test2 are there. So what we're going to need to do is go over here. Oops, not there. Go here. And what we're going to do is we are going to add, if I can find, what we're going to do is, we're going to add the delete option in there. And we're going to rerun it. And then we're going to go back over here, and voila, test1 and test2 are gone. So that is how you would tell it anything that gets deleted from the source needs to get deleted from the destination. Clear enough? All right, so let's say you wanted to have the option to see what was going to happen when you actually ran this command. You were a little worried that you might blow something up. So there's something called a dry run that you can actually run that will show you exactly that. So what I first want to do is I want to run this without the dry run command. And I want to verify it came over. And I want to verify everything's there because I added a couple extra files for this test. So we have dry 1, 2, and 3 in there, right? So what we're going to do now, oops, didn't mean to do that. What we're going to do now, we're going to go back to our Linux box here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to get rid of all 3 of those files. So then what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here. We're going to do the same exact thing as a normal sync, but we're going to add dry run. And then you go ahead and hit enter. And as you can see, it's telling you what it's going to delete. And it will even tell you down here that this is a dry run. Now, if we go to Windows, it shouldn't have deleted anything yet, which it didn't. And we can refresh just to verify. We'll go out and come back in, and they're still there. So they're safe, right? We didn't lose anything. Now, let's say we're happy. We say, you know what, we want to get rid of those. So you would just go back, and you would just simply get rid of the dry run it again, go back over there, and it is gone. So that is how dry run works. It's kind of like a check out what you're doing before you blow it up type of thing. And it's a really good idea to do. A really good idea to do. Sorry, video's getting a little long here. My tongue's getting tight. Okay, let's check something else out. All right, so let's say you have automated this and you're not there to watch the screen all the time. You are going to want some type of logging. At least that's what I would want. And guess what? rsync has logging. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of run the same command. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually add in, and we'll do it right here, space. And we're going to add in log dash file equals. And I'm going to put this in the rsync folder. And I'm just going to call it test.log. All right, so we're going to let it do its thing. And it should be done. And then if we go over here and go to rsync, we should have a test.log. And it shows you everything you need to see there. Very good. So if we go over here, we have everything that was copied again. So very cool. That is how you would do a log file. Pretty straightforward. We don't need to spend too much time on that, but it is an option you will want to use if you're going to set up, a cron job to have this run, so you can go back and check to make sure it's actually working. All right, let's try something else. All right, and one of the last things I want to show you is how rsync handles links, because this can kind of come back to haunt you if you don't do it the right way. So normally when you, let's just look in our user directory here for nnkali user. So you look in there and we have a couple symbolic links, right? One is going to within the folder itself, which is cool because rsync should back that data up. The other one is pointing to a different directory. So let's say you created this symbolic link to point to a different directory that might be on a different volume, that you were low on space, so you needed to move the data off to another location and then just create a symbolic link to point to it to save space. The problem is when you just do a default, okay, you know what, I'm being lazy. It's not going to back up that data to the location that it's pointing to. It's just going to do the link. So you're going to get a like for like. If you go back here and go to backup, you go in there and see you're getting a link to that folder. Now the problem is, what if that folder gets renamed or it's gone, right? Like let's just say link test is now test. So over here, your backup copy is hosed, because for whatever reason that's not available, and that's not good. So what you're going to want to do is First, you're going to want to rename what you just changed. And what you're going to want to do is also go up here, and we're just going to do a fresh run here. And we're going to rerun the rsync, but we're going to add an uppercase L, just like that. We're going to hit enter, and then we're going to let it do its thing, and then we're going to go in there and look, and now as you can see, a link test is showing up as an actual folder. Go in there and the contents are in there. So now if we were to go over here, and we even know, we're going to rename it, right? Doesn't matter. It copied over the contents of that symbolic link as an actual directory. So now whether, let's say that was pointing to an external hard drive, that volume, wherever it was, it's gone. You now have an actual copy of that data. So that's kind of critical to know. If you don't do the uppercase L and you just do the normal thing, it will work 99% of the time as long as that symbolic link is pointing to data that you've actually synced. But if it hasn't, you're probably up a creek without a paddle. So, all right, now that we have seen pretty much everything I wanted to show you on rsync and how the the delete, the log files, the exclude, trailing slash, all that good stuff, I now want to show you how you can automate this. So let's go ahead and go over to our rsync folder. And what you would want to do is you would want to create a script. And I already have one here, so we're just going to go ahead and use that because I don't want to recreate the wheel. So we're going to go in there and check out what we would do. And what I've done here is I've created a super basic rsync script. And what I'm telling it to do is I'm telling it to run, using the standard AV archive and verbose. I'm telling it to put a log file here, and I'm telling it to run a sync from Windows to backup Windows. And then I'm also telling it to run a sync from the home directory to the Kali backup directory. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out of here. And what I want to do is I want to make sure we get rid of this. So I want this to be clean. And then I want to go back over here. And I want to go to, and then I want to go to, and let's see what's in here. Okay, so I want to get this emptied out as well. And yep. All right. Now we have clean directories. So what I want to do, we'll just verify. And what I want to do is go back to our sync. And I want to cat the basic just to make sure I have that correctly. So source is going to be MMT Windows. And we're going to put that there and home to, okay, so that is cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run it. And we're going to just run that. It's going to go ahead and do its thing. We'll give it a little bit here. And that went pretty quick. So now we should have 2 log files in here, which we do. And then what we can do is we can just cat one of them, or we can just cat both of them if we want. And you could go back and check out everything that just happened. Okay, so we know that worked. And let's just verify that. Actually, that's not where we put it, is it? We put them both here under backups. So if we do ls and we do an ltr, we can see here's all the Windows stuff. And then here's all the NN Kali user stuff. So it worked perfectly. That's beautiful. All right, so that is how you could create a script. Now let's say you wanted to take this script one level further. And keep in mind, you could add as many lines to that rsync script as you wanted. So, I only did 2 things here, but you could also back up different directories. You could have multiple mount points. You could do anything you wanted. You could have some of them do delete, some of them don't delete if the source changes, whatever you want to do. You could take all that stuff I just showed you throughout this video and add it to this file and then just run it. And you know what I would do? I would have several scripts that are going to do, if you want to do these manually even, rename them just for if you're going to run one specific directory, like sync, create a script. That way you don't have to remember the whole code and what you need to put in to get the rsync and the switches to work. So what I want to do now is we're going to look at the crontab. And if you don't have a crontab entry, first time you run this, it's going to deny you. I do. Actually, here, I forgot you need to do a -l. I have a crontab entry here that I created. If you didn't, you'll get an error the first time you do it. What you'll need to do is you'll need to do a crontab-e. And this is set to run every minute of every day forever. You could actually change the variable. It explains this up to you. It explains this to you up here. But if you wanted to know more, you could obviously go out and Google it, or maybe I'll do a short little video on how crontab works. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to exit and save this. And now your crontab is working. So if we go to crontab and we do a -l, it's going to list it as this is what's going to work. So now if we go here and we'll just go into Windows 1. Actually here, while we're waiting, we'll go into, oops, and we'll delete the logs. And that way when we get the logs, we'll know the file should have synced. Okay, it's been about a minute here. And there they are. And let's look at them. And as you can see, they ran at 11. It says it's 11, so it just ran here. So now, just for double verification, we're going to go to backup. And let's just do an LTR. And there's all our stuff. And that's how you would automate the crontab. And again, you could have multiple entries in the crontab for different scripts. There's no reason you can't have, you know, basic script number 2, 3, 4, whatever you want. Set up different increments. You wanted it to run once a week, or you wanted a script that's going to rsync to another server, but you only want it to happen once a month. You know, you can do whatever you want, fully customizable, and it just works great. And with that, everyone, I think I'm going to call an end to this video. So if you've enjoyed the video, please do me a favor. It doesn't cost you anything, and smash that like button. If you'd like to see future content, which I hopefully will be updating a little more frequently than I've been able to do, subscribe and you'll get to see those videos. So other than that, thank you for taking the time to watch it. I hope you've enjoyed it, and you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.